Ladies and gentlemen, all rise for the RankKing's court.
To infinity and beyond. Welcome, everybody, to the RankKing's court. 6:30 on a Tuesday. We hope you are enjoying yourself watching along with us as we bring to you, I've counted, boys, episode 38.
That's a lot of episodes.
We've made 38 episodes. Yeah, we've made 38 episodes. I'm very, very excited to see how much we've come through with this.
And I was spiritually involved with most of them.
Yeah, yes, you were, Craig. But hey, you know how that goes. It's all about the journey, right? You know, you pick some people up on the way, you drop some people off. You know, some people that live in Tennessee. You know, it happens.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not gonna appreciate you saying you dropped him.
No, it's not dropped him off.
No,
Hey,
you dropped them. You didn't want them on that fantasy football
fuck you
episode.
guys. Love you,
Off
Derek.
with
Oh,
his
again,
head.
this shit.
We already have some comments coming in. Miss Morgan Marie says howdy. Hi Morgan, thanks for tuning in. And Grind Project says, I'm losing sleep for this, so you better not let me down, Austin. Yeah, that's
Well.
right. We do have a game tonight, and Foreigner has played a couple games this week already, so.
Those all
Warner
sound
needs
like.
the exercise, so calm down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like he needs to fix his sleep schedule, and that's not on me. So it all happens. But we got a lot to talk about today, boys. But first, before we get into anything, I can't have Greg read the ad read this time. So Vo,
You can.
I'm not going to.
Don't you? Oh, come on, that's bullshit.
You can't memorize
No.
it?
No,
Well-
I can't memorize it.
Vo,
I tried once and it like barely came out right. So go ahead.
Oh, Oracle, where is the RankKing's court taking place?
The RankKing's court is live today from the Union Fitness Studios. Located on the North Shore of Pittsburgh, Union Fitness is more than a traditional gym. It is a place where you can transform yourself inside and out with a variety of classes based around fitness, yoga, strength, and performance training. At Union Fitness, they believe that it is their duty to hold themselves and their clients to a higher standard. They practice what they preach and uphold the values that make Union Fitness the community that it is. Go to unionfitness.com today to sign up for a consultation. Through Union, there's strength.
All right, good shit.
I think we nailed that one.
And we all did. Yeah, that was really nice.
Took a while. Yeah, we finally did.
And before we get into any topics, you know, with the whole being, you might notice that I've traded in my glorious robe for something a little bit more special tonight. So,
You finally realized that you were sweating like crazy.
That's what
Well,
it was.
yes,
It's a little hot
but-
tonight.
it is. It is a very humid day, but you know, the old saying is no pain, no gain. But I will say this: notice the glorious shirt that I have on right now.
Show it to the camera.
Show it to the camera.
Yeah, hold it up to the camera.
Hold up to the
Closer
camera.
look.
Give it to the masses for them to show them off. Look
Yeah,
at that. Beautiful.
Look how nice that is.
Look at that. Beautiful material. Beautiful color.
Where'd you find that, Austin? Where'd you get that from?
Well, as you and I both know, and so everyone else knows, these shirts are only available in July, and they can be found on the Thoughts from the Bench store, tftbstore.com. Size chart's already there. Go pick yours out, and help us kick the shit out of everyone else in this competition. Because, I mean, let's be honest, our commercial's the best. Let's not be frank. I mean, like.
Plus,
Thank
we're
you.
probably the only show that's not bribing you to try to buy our shirt. We're just giving you the
We're
best
leaving
quality.
it up to you. But have you seen that shirt? Have you seen how?
But have you seen that?
How great that
Have you
shirt was?
seen the commercial for this? Like, come on. The
If
commercial
you
alone
haven't,
is
you'll probably see it. You might see it later on.
yeah. That's a spoiler.
No
alert for
spoilers,
you.
But don't wait too long. Don't wait.
No.
Don't wait that long. We're already halfway through July, and again, all these profits will go to help us and everything else that we're going on. But yes, the Ranking Court shirts on tftbstore.com. Buy one to be a part of the royalness that is the court. So, with that being said, we move on to last week's topic. We had Josh Wagner on from SiriusXM, who talked to us about some fantasy football stuff, and I thought it was probably one of our very, very better shows that we did. Josh being always a bank full of knowledge when it comes to football in general, but being that he was the one that got me into fantasy football, and I've done it for I think since we started our freshman year of college, it's helped. I mean, I haven't been in the losers bracket in all these years, so. But yes, he was.
This is the year for that.
Shut the.
Yeah, Josh was a great guest to have on. It was interesting to hear. I wasn't expecting him to be as knowledgeable as the way you made him out to be, but honestly, I can definitely say that I learned a good bit from him. And I will give you credit, Austin. A lot of the stuff that you actually had in terms of predictions and stuff was very much in line with what he had as well. So some good takes there.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how we both had, he would say something of Detroit, and then I would say something of Detroit. We had not discussed this prior at all with each other. So that just shows how we both think in terms of the fantasy football prospect. There was a poll. I don't know if I want to hear it or not.
And are you ready for this, Austin?
Oh boy.
The winner, with 71% of the votes, was Mr. Josh Wagner.
Woo!
So there's the first for you guys. The Rank King was toppled in the first ever ranking for this. So, yes, fantasy football, props to Josh. Well done. Congratulations on being the first one and the last one to ever walk along the crown again.
This is also a valuable lesson we have learned. Do not tell you the poll results until we're on show.
We're live
I almost voted.
I almost did.
I knew.
I almost voted.
Yeah, when you got up, Greg, he's like, "Hey, who's winning?" And I was like, "I'm not telling you."
I didn't want to do it.
Foreign just says, "Woo, Austin couldn't cheat this week or this time."
Yeah, foreign, I feel bad for you, bud. You got robbed.
A tie unnecessarily isn't a robbery because then royalty takes over Foreigner, so it's fine. But we always appreciate the comments of the loyal subjects. But yes, now we get into today's topic. This one is a little bit of a more condensed topic, I would say, at least, because we talked about it a little bit, but in a more centralized version. We had talked about Disney films in the past. However, tonight, we're going to talk strictly Pixar and what that was. That there are 24 current Pixar films that have been released, I want to say, since 1995. I think that's when Toy Story dropped, if I remember correctly.
I think you're right. I believe Toy Story.
About right.
Yeah, Toy Story was the first Pixar movie to ever drop. It was around the time that I believe we were in kindergarten age, so like maybe 5-6 years old. So yeah, it was about that time.
I think I was about 1. 1995.
Wow, way to make us feel old, Austin.
Yeah, really.
Oh well. I mean, listen. Age comes wisdom at times. So I'm happy.
So we're the smartest.
Yeah, we basically are.
Bo is the all-knowing oracle. That's what he is. Greg is the loyal knight. So let's put it that way. But yes, everything Pixar we're going to talk about tonight. I'm very curious to see because, like I said, this is a more condensed, more subject matter related topics rather than a more overbroad Disney-esque that has gone along with it. So there might be some stuff that overlaps a little bit depending on what goes on, but everything is going to be more or less more solid, I think, with this topic. I mean, your thoughts? I mean, guys, I know that Disney's a big thing, but there have been a lot of times where a Pixar has dropped something and we're like, oh shit, that looks pretty dope. Gotta check that out.
Well, when you think about it, these Pixar films, they spend years developing this. Like the amount of work that goes into it. I mean, we have voice actors that go in to do these, and they don't release it for probably 2 years just because of the amount of graphic animation that's done. A lot of the actors don't even see the character until the finished product. So there's a reason why Pixar essentially changes the game with almost every single movie. It's because of the fact that with every movie, they try something new, try something innovative, and somehow, some way, they just find a way to topple it all the time.
Right. And this is good because Bo actually knows more of the centralized topic today. So
I know every topic. I'm just messing with you.
you all knowing Oracle, right? Yeah. How much fantasy knowledge of the Game of Jones did you have?
Hey, I had a good run. The Game of Jones.
Surprisingly, you did with the amount of players that you had, but
He did better than Moneyball. That's the
I gotta
important
find another
piece.
last name this year.
dude,
Something
but
else.
I don't know if there's another more common
Maybe
name in
Smith?
football rather than Jones. I was gonna say maybe Smith,
Smith would be the way to go. Yeah.
but then you're drafting like defensive players like Sedarius Smith and like individual defense. Another topic for another day. Let's move in with the first radical ranking of the evening. So I kind of like bringing up all this more centralized stuff because in my mind, every movie is not a movie without an antagonist or a villain. And Pixar does these so well. Like, it's unreal how, like, Pixar handles. Because a lot of it, I go back to when we had our Batman conversations. Like, there's so much of a big difference between, like, the Batman villains and, like, every other villain. Because they are essentially either of Batman's own making or of one's more centralized, like, fears and desires. Rather than, like, another power that's just given away. So I kind of think the same thing for Pixar films. They are very unique in their own right. More of it focuses on a premise around the theme of the movie rather than like certain characters that are in it. Because in a lot of times, like you'll have like, for instance, just the hero always, it's almost like a counteractive. Like since we talk Batman, it's almost like a two-face of a coin of a split between, you know, the protagonist being one way and the antagonist being the complete opposite. This one kind of feels like it's more of like just a mesh of creativity that goes along with it to see how well these can flourish. So I'm very, very excited to talk about these. One, which will start off at number 5, was one that I compared to, I believe, one Ryan Votash in our Villain to Blogger article that I wrote a while back. So number 5 is Henry J. Waternoose.
I honestly forgot you did that.
Well, go check that out if it's there. I mean, shameless plug. Waternoose is interesting because for a good bit of the story, he's depicted as the head of this company that is just trying to get the sense of like the scream to power, you know, the city. Not necessarily like an evil thought process, right? Like it's an ability to power and make sure that everything runs smoothly. But as we completely find out, you know, spoiler 3, 2, 1, but if you haven't seen Monsters Inc., what's wrong with you? Randall was supposedly the main villain of this until we find out that he's actually the henchman to Waternoose, who is trying to bring about as many screams to give the power to the city as much as he can, and also to get rid of Boo, the child. I mean, there's even a line in the thing that says he's like, he would let hundreds of children die before he would let the company die. That's fucked, man. Like, for a Pixar film, that's really fucked.
Yeah, but here's the other thing we can appreciate about Pixar films is that they do take a lot of real world kind of approaches with the actual animation to make it kids friendly, but also talk about stuff that is very much current. What I appreciate about Waternoose, honestly, and me personally, I consider Randall more of the villain than Waternoose just because of throughout the movie. Like, you at the beginning, Waternoose was also kind of a mentor to Sully, to be fair. It's like the guy that got him his job and was the one that wanted him to eventually take over as the #1 scarer. Waternoose also kind of has like the feel of like, you know, the oil executives that, you know, and obviously we find out at the end of Monsters Inc., you know, 3, 2, 1 spoiler, is they find out that laughter is a much better fuel source to be able to do that. So instead of going with the times, he ends up, you know, spoiler, he doesn't make it past the end of the climax of the film, but then it ends up becoming to the point where they find an alternative fuel source now. So it's kind of interesting that even before its time, Pixar was almost kind of ahead of its time with regards to depicting how these rich executives type are now, where they try to stay within the mindset of the fossil and the gas industry and all that instead of embracing the times. So it's interesting.
Bo, anything to add?
And you compared him to me.
Yeah. Well, I initially pointed out to you because he's a maker of his own right, creativity, and that's what you've shined through, my friend, for a lot of it. And we've been talked about with our, our shirt designs. The commercial was all like, we had the idea, but that was all you, dude. Like, you ran with it, and man, it fucking showed.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate that.
So more of the creative aspect of it and the less killing children kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know what he does in his spare time. Let's be
Who's not too sure, yeah. But yeah, Greg's absolutely right. I was hoping that he would have said that because, it essentially, quote unquote, shaped the way that we kind of look at the business executive and any, you could almost compare it to the Jeffrey Bezos or anything else that goes on in today's society. And I'm only saying that because I saw about 3 fucking Amazon cars today rolling down the street. I mean, people are everywhere, man. But I'm also very excited to see that new, because Monsters Inc. is depicted that a show is going to drop on Disney Plus.
It already dropped, yeah.
Yes,
already.
Is it? Do you guys know what the title of it is again? I forget.
Monsters at Work.
Monsters at Work, yeah. So that'll be interesting to say the least. I'm kind of curious how that's going to work. But to save time, let's move on with our number 4. One that I think a lot of people are going to be like, what? And here's my reasoning for it. From the movie Brave, Mordu.
So I've actually never seen Brave, so you're going to have to...
I had no idea who this was.
Okay, so this actually was brought up because of a legend that was based around the title of Brave. And Brave essentially has this character who I can't remember off the top of my head who she was. I know that's terrible. But she doesn't want to be queen. She wants to be a maker of her own right. She's very good at skilled in archery and just kind of wants to do that. And she separates herself from the family. And we see that she relates very much so to the villain Mordu, because Mordu essentially wanted the same thing. He wanted to rule in his own right, but instead Mordu let hatred and corruption best him. And what ended up happening was that he inhabited this bear-like beast form that ravaged throughout Scotland, which I believe had taken place. I think that's where I did Scotland or Ireland. I know that's one of the two. I think it's Scotland. And man, he's a threatening motherfucker. You never realize it at first until you're through the storyline and everything, but that's essentially what happens, is that it almost centers around these two characters, and we see where she very much differs in her path than Mordu. She realizes that she can be her own person and still be in touch with the family, rather than hatred and corruption and greed getting the best of her. And we have Mordu, which I believe, he's actually, he's the villain in this, but he is the protagonist of the short The Legend of Mordu, an evil demon bear who was once a human prince. So that goes to show it. I mean, there's a lot of mythology in this, which I very much appreciated, in that it separated itself from the normal Pixar film, which, like we said, Pixar loves to come up with ideas out of the box, and a lot of times they use various things, various places in general, and this one was one of them, man. I was very excited to see this film. I encourage you guys to go see that film, or to watch that movie.
Yeah, I'm curious if the reason that this probably didn't get as well received or more popular with the general public is because of the fact that it's kind of different vibe from what Pixar usually does with their stuff. Because I know of the movie, I know kind of the background of it, where it takes place, and it is Scotland as far as I'm concerned. It's definitely a periodical time, which I feel like is probably something that not a lot of people are related to. It's kind of like hit or miss, so maybe that might make sense. I find it interesting too that I don't know if this is the same with a lot of Pixar films, but there's usually like a relatability with regards between the protagonist and the antagonist in most of them. Like there's usually like a specific reason why they come together in the first place, and it's usually like a commonality, and then somehow, some way that eventually drives them apart with that. So I can get with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of times, like you said, with the hero and villain relating in these movies, that a choice has to be made, essentially, to defer if you are the protagonist or the antagonist. And that very much shows in this film. And like I said, he is very terrifying in the movie. Like, I remember I did not know where this movie was going to go in terms of, because like most of these do have, an antagonist. And I was like, well, we haven't seen one yet. And out pops this demonic ass looking bear that I was like, all right, like this is she finds cave paintings, I think is what like depicts the story of Mordu, and that's when she realizes that she needs to not go down this path. So very much a good movie. Like I said, check that out, guys. We move on to our number 3, Charles Muntz from Up.
This one's so sad too.
Yeah.
Especially because of the fact too that it was, in this case, like it was his hero.
Yep.
That was kind of like the real issue right there. So to see that he ends up becoming completely different from what he was interpreting is very heartbreaking. I mean, Up in general is just very heartbreaking.
Yeah. I think the message that come across this, Greg, and we talk about with wrestling, how wrestlers go into business, never meet your heroes, because that essentially is what happens. They are not as great as they are depicted out to be, or they are worse, and they become this ultimate manifestation of everything that you despise. And that's exactly what Charles Muntz was in this, man. It was very dark, to say the least. How? Because a lot of this happened because of the relationship with his wife. They looked up to, she was the one that got him into Charles Muntz, I believe, in the first place.
Right.
So to see that part that he held on so tightly not turn out to be what it was supposed to be, it's very heartbreaking. But at the same point, I always say never meet your heroes, because shit like this happens. And you end up meeting a guy that created collars for dogs to talk and wants to kill a giant bird. So.
I mean, the collars thing isn't bad though.
No, introduce us. Except if it's Doug. Oh yes, you are my person. Hello, squirrel.
Some dogs might be a little out there. Yeah.
A little out there, but yeah, man. This was a big one for me, because essentially it's reality being twisted before us. Like I said, the thing that you see in the mirror is not as clearly as it is depicted. And that's exactly what Muntz is. I mean, the dude tries to murder him. Like, it's not like these Pixar films, as like childlike as they are very dark in their aspects of, exactly where they want to go. So, and I can't think of a better place to keep talking about that than our number 2 from Coco, Ernesto de la Cruz.
I never saw all of Coco. I did see I saw bits of it, and I was very blown away by the animation and I was blown away by just all the characterization that they had going on there, the bright colors that they did with it. I really appreciated what they did with it. I have an idea of the villain for this too, because I believe it's a family story that was used to kind of trick Coco, I believe, from the background on that one. So can you delve more into that?
I can. So I will say, if you're in the later years, anyone who has taken Spanish in school has definitely seen this film, because that is what the teacher always plays at times.
Is that something you do?
It was past my prime, but I definitely have seen it played in multiple Spanish classes. But the thing that goes with this is it's almost the same thing as we talked about with Charles Muntz, because his entire family, Miguel's entire family, hates music beyond a shadow of a doubt. And that's what Miguel wants to do, because there was a story that down the family lineage that caused all these issues, and it was because the person who the woman had fallen in love with was a musician, and apparently that he ran out on her. And through the story, like, what ends up happening is he takes the guitar of this Ernesto de la Cruz and plays it, and he is transported to the land of the dead, and he has to find a way back in order to rejoin the living, otherwise he'll be trapped there forever. And he meets this scroungy looking guy that's been trying to get out of the land of the dead for how long, and the only way you can do that for time in the family is if they put your picture up as a remembrance. If you can't cross over during the Day of the Dead. And so he tries to, the two end up joining forces so that he can find Ernesto de la Cruz and that he can put his picture up so he can cross over. Well, spoiler alert, because holy shit, this movie takes a huge turn in 3, 2, 1. He believes that Ernesto de la Cruz is his father, so he goes, or his great-great-grandfather, sorry, like way down the lineage. And he knows because like he's a musician, he believes he's a musician, so he thinks that there's that bond. And what ends up happening is that we find out that the scroungy looking guy Hector is actually Miguel's father, and he's been trying to cross over for how long? Because Hector and De La Cruz were once partners, and when Hector's wife was pregnant, he was on the road and he wanted to come back. And what ends up happening is that Ernesto de la Cruz takes that with a grain of salt and realizes that we just started. I got the fame on my back. I'm not going home. So he poisons Hector. And Hector wrote all the songs. So De La Cruz takes credit for all of it. And Hector has been trapped essentially in the Day of the Deads because they believe that he just ran off and he literally was poisoned.
Wow.
So it is a huge...
This is a Pixar movie.
This is a Pixar movie. Like,
that's crazy.
Oh, man, that's what happens.
He poisoned a dude so he could stay famous and take the credit for everything. And I tell you what, when I watched this film for the first time, the animation was great, but holy shit, this twist made everything. It made everything.
Sounds like it would.
It was masterful. And yeah, I mean, to kill a guy for that says a lot about his character, and that's why he is, thought a lot about putting him at 1, but number 2, I think it's where it stands.
Ping commented and said Coco wasn't out when I took Spanish in high school.
Yeah, Ping was older than I was, so I doubt that.
I don't think it was out when we were in high school.
Yeah, no, Coco was more recent. I think it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah, so that's why I never watched it in Spanish class.
But I will say, go check that out. I know it's kind of sucks that I've kind of spoiled that, but it is a very, very well done film, and shows a lot of emotion, family, backstory, everything that goes along that makes a film great. Number 1 might seem a little odd, but I think it's the appropriate thing, being for how well this film did and how crazy the villain actually was. Number 1 is Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Yeah, this I am very much okay with. The backstory, the twist about who he actually is very well done, because it sets up perfectly why he does the things that he does. So I absolutely can get with it. And plus it's superheroes, so like there's like that connection that we already have with it too.
So we talked about how like the murder of one guy to stay famous was a little brutal. Syndrome, who was once Incrediboy, he wanted to be the sidekick of Mr. Incredible, and Mr. Incredible, being, the macho dude that he was, knew that a kid probably didn't deserve to be in that place, so he shunned him. And what ends up happening is this boy, Buddy, grows up with such amount of hatred and despise for Mr. Incredible that he basically turns everything upside down by becoming this villain named Syndrome and designing all these robots to kill superheroes There are about 8 different designs of these robots, 8 or 9, and they've killed hundreds of heroes. I mean, holy shit, guys. This is a superhero genocide. Like, you can't tell me that he doesn't deserve to be number 1 on this list. Yes, he's fake, kind of brash, bold, arrogant, but hundreds of heroes murdered because he didn't get the chance to live out his superhero fantasy.
That's not just a hatred. That's not just a hatred for Mr. Incredible. That's just a hatred for all heroes in general.
Yeah. And the whole reason that he did that was so that he could be the one in the shining light and save the people, so to speak. And, you know, it's easy when you control the robot. So he was like punching it, and then he would put something on his arm. He would click a button and the arm would fall off. Like, it's very, very showmanship and very, very egocentric. And man, Syndrome delivered, you know, besides getting the shit kicked out of him by a baby at the end with like multiple superhero powers. So.
Yeah, let's also talk about that too. The final I want to say 10 minutes where he's still alive and he's trying to kidnap their infant son is also like puts him over the top as well.
Yeah. Which also leads to no capes, because the whole reason that the capes are a big issue for their designer, they get caught in shit, and he ends up, 3, 2, 1, getting caught in a jet turbine, and that's another thing. The dude goes through a jet turbine. They just put this in a Pixar film, man. Like, it's nuts. But
everyone seems to like this ranking.
Oh, well, they better. I mean, that's
Greg,
kind of how the way it goes.
Do you think he missed any villains?
Wreck-It Ralph was definitely considered Pixar, right? Or was that like another?
Yeah, it's Pixar. Yep, it's Pixar.
I have a soft spot for Turbo, man. Especially because it was so unique when you found out who he was the entire time. And I thought that was pretty cool. I thought he deserved it.
I know that one I struggled with now and then to put on was Hopper. At the same point, like, he got killed by a bird. A bird.
Based on the stories, though, that you kind of explained about why these antagonists were on here, like, I get it, though. Hopper was just bad the whole time. There was never any, story with regards to him. It's just, I'm bigger than you. You will do what I say. That's it.
Yeah.
I had Stinky Pete from Toy Story.
So that's what I was going to talk about a little bit, because all the Toy Story villains, you can go from Sid in Toy Story 1 to Dude Lotso in Toy Story 3 to Stinky Pete in Toy Story 2. And all of them are good villains, but I think if you're going to talk about Toy Story as a whole, you kind of have to bring up the first one with it. And for me, Sid being just I mean, if he's a villain in this, then we're all considered kind of villains based on like growing interest from like.
What'd you do with toys when you were little, Austin?
Well,
rip them apart.
What did everyone do with toys? We misused them. We played with them until they were done, right? And that's kind of where the interests panned off. Where obviously he went with more of a deranged route with fireworks and pyrotechnics and
ripping the head off
mutilating toys. Yes, but he is every kid that just grew up in their own sort of way, and we'll talk about that a little bit more because that's going to get into like the later rankings that we have. But yeah, those are my top Pixar villains. If you have another one, please shout it out in the comments, but I doubt that they're going to be probably as good as those 5. But let's move on to radical ranking number 2. All right, as I wipe the sweat from my forehead from this crown, it's a little too tight, I think, at times. But, I got a big head. Yeah. Got a lot of ideas.
The good thing was you weren't on camera, so no one saw you wipe the sweat off your head.
Now they know, though.
Yeah, well, you said it.
That's true.
Oh, I didn't know the king's sweat. That explains a lot now.
He doesn't sweat under pressure. He sweats from not having air conditioning on his thing to hear himself better. But yes, number 2 of the radical rankings is going to be the top Pixar moments. And a lot of these range from just wonderful and greatly designed to the more emotional things that we all kind of feel when we watch these films. But about everything, and everything is in here. And let's get on to our number 5.
Whoa, wait. Miss Morgan Marie, subscribe to Tier 1.
Hey!
Subscribe for 2 months.
Woo!
Thanks, Morgan.
Let's go.
Appreciate the love.
And we talk about that because love is a little bit of what we get into with our number 5. And yes, I named these a little bit, so they might seem corny at first, but number 5, full of emotions, Inside Out.
Man, Inside Out kind of like hits you in the feels in so many ways because you're like, yeah, I can definitely see that being the case.
Well,
Like just having all of them in your head and stuff too.
Yep. I greatly appreciate, we find out, what, the people thought that men thought when their wives are talking to them, and all of the emotions are sitting there watching the football game, and they're like, oh shit, wait, what'd she say? Come on, think. that had to, that made me laugh so hard when I saw that. But this is more of the line of what the story basically goes on, where joy, one of the emotions, all she really cares about is making the child, which is named Riley, I believe.
Yes.
All she cares about is making Riley happy. I mean, that's her perceptive, right? Joy being the emotion of happiness. But we find out that in the later of the movie, she kind of needs all of these emotions throughout. It can't just be all about joy. And, a lot of this is brought up with the other one, the quote-unquote elephant in the room, sadness. That's her almost like, not rival, but it's a very like polar opposite. And we find out that there are certain situations where Riley needs to feel sadness. She needs to feel anger. She needs to feel scared, disgust. And that's a big driving point in this film because throughout the whole film, she's just trying to make Riley happy. And she needs to realize that there needs to be a healthy balance of emotions throughout the film, which, man, I mean, when you hear that, like, that's a big life goal. I mean, that's a life lesson. And that's what Pixar strives a lot to do at times, is to teach us life lessons. And this was certainly one of them, I can tell you that.
Yeah, I will definitely give it a lot of credit, especially because the voice casts for those two were great. Joy, I believe, was Amy Poehler, and Sadness was Mindy Kaling. So, I mean, if there's probably not two better actresses that you can think of that can try to get those emotions out on camera. I mean, it's perfect for them too. But yeah, it makes sense because it's kind of like because Riley was in the sense of she was moving from town to town, so she needed to be able to feel that in some sort of way. She couldn't just be happy about everything. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Though, any comments before we move on to our number 4? Not just comments read, but like your own personal comments, or are the inside outs in your head watching the latest sports segment?
That's
you didn't
usually
hear
what
I said?
happens on this show whenever you're giving your rankings. Yeah, this was a good film. I love watching this one.
That's good.
I didn't see it like when it first came out, but I think probably a couple of years ago was the first time I watched it.
I think I saw this in theaters, and man, there were people
Yeah.
crying everywhere.
It's a
Yeah.
sad story. You feel emotions watching it.
Yep. Unfortunately, we're gonna hit our number 4 with another emotional. There's a lot of ways I could go with these 3 films, but I chose the second one because of a particular scene that has stuck with me probably all throughout life since I've seen it. And number 4 is When She Loved Me from Toy Story 2.
Whoa, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments from Toy Story.
I saw that one in theaters too. I think I was like 8 or 9.
Mhm.
And even I felt uncomfortable back then too.
Yeah. So like I said, there's a lot of routes I could go. There was a point where I wanted to put in Toy Story 3 where they're all in the furnace and they're holding hands and shit.
Yeah.
And that one struck me to the core, but I think this one teaches more of a life lesson, to say the least. And for this one, you're going through life as like the main source of happiness that is bringing to your child from a toy perspective. And we see essentially what happens as the years pass on and you're not the most important thing in the world to them anymore. And there's that final scene where she picks her up and you think it's like gonna happen. I thought at first that she was this is like the daughter of this woman, like being able to like relish in the happiness. But when we see them driving and her being placed on the ground in a box and the car driving away. I think, man, that is one of the most, like, I think that's more of one of the darker plots of these movies, is that nothing really lasts forever. And damn, like, this showed it, because that changed her whole perception of how toys should be used, right until about Woody and Buzz and all them came into the picture. Then she realized that, there's more to life than just being played with this, and like she and Stinky Pete and Bullseye and all them wanting to be like put on display for everybody, was kind of her original goal. But I think once she realized, like, yes, that is a process, that's a building block of life, is that, you just need to move on. And this was a huge part in that take. Very, very dark turn, to say the least. So you got a comment?
I don't know about dark necessarily, but I will say it was sad. I feel like dark kind of makes it seem like it was a lot more, like, kind of, I don't even know the words to explain, but like I don't consider it dark. I just consider it like more sad, of like, but also like in a moment that it makes perfect sense when
Gotcha.
like as you grow up you're bound to like get rid of stuff like that.
Got you. Well, let's ditch the emotions for a second and move on to something that was just incredible to see. Number 3 was the door chase from Monsters, Inc.
That was cool. I will give you that. That was actually a lot of fun to watch.
Not only were you able to see just how all these doors, like where they were coming from, the creative, we talk about superheroes a lot, the creative multiverse that goes in to these areas of the door. Holy fucking shit, dude. Like, you just figured someone had to sit down in like a room with a bunch of people and like, this is where this door is going to lead, and like this is what this door is going to have behind it. Like, everything goes into perceptive and creativity with this scene. And not just how cool itself it looked with the whole chase scene of finding Boo's door before Randall gets them, but man, so much creativity behind this scene. It definitely helped put Monsters, Inc. on the map, for sure.
Are we really surprised that Pixar kind of came up with the idea of the multiverse before any other film studio did?
No, that's the crazy
No, no,
thing.
no.
Like, all these different, we talk about with superheroes, all these different like areas of comic books and everything that divulge. Like, Monsters, Inc. was kind of like the first movie to bring that retrospective to life. And God, I love it. I love every second of it. Any comments, Vo?
No, I agree with you. Like, there's so much detail and creativity going into this scene. With all the different doors opening and all the different like worlds when you open the door. It's amazing. I don't know how they do animations like this.
Oh, that's the big portion of this, man. It's just how great the animation is. One film that definitely ran away with the amount of animation was definitely our number 2, the 100-mile dash, The Incredibles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Incredibles is a movie that I feel like not enough people give the respect that it is due.
Hey, Austin, I got something to tell you.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen the full Incredibles movie.
Vo. You've never wait.
Like, I don't think I've watched the whole thing.
Though I think that's worse than not actually seeing it. Is
Well,
not
see,
finishing.
there was one time my family went to Florida, and we had like one of those vans that had a DVD player in. So we'd always start it, but we never finished it. And I've never got around to finishing the whole thing.
So you were just like, it'll come up sooner or later. One of the great
just
things
never
that Pixar
did.
ever brought to us, but it's fine. Like, but this scene particularly was awesome because the whole time Dash, as a kid, trying to live a normal life, so people won't realize he's a superhero. He has to hold back from playing sports, from being himself, and finally he gets the chance to show that off in a very life or death scenario, because Syndrome's goons are flying in these saucer-like devices through the jungle. And I remember I even played the video game The Incredibles, and this level sucked. It was so hard this kid's going over like 90, 100 miles an hour, and you're trying to wither through all these different twigs and rocks and trees and shit. And there's even a portion where he runs on water. That portion of it alone was so freaking cool.
Yeah, I believe it. I also kind of have a soft spot for like the very end of it, where he's actually finally being able to race in a real race, and he has to hold back.
Oh yeah, he's like running fast, and his parents are like, no, second place, second. And the other parents are like looking at him like, what the hell? Why would you tell your kid to get second place?
No, I love it. And then especially at the beginning of that scene where he does the dash through the film, I believe at the very beginning, his mom is the one that actually is encouraging him to run fast, because she was always the one that had to tell him to not use powers at all. So that right there alone is like a great emotional moment as well, where Dash can finally realize, I have the acceptance now to be myself.
Exactly. And finally, our number one, probably the most emotional moment, I believe, in any Pixar film. It's the one that starts the movie. This is Growing Old Up.
Oh.
Yeah, they start the movie off.
This fucking scene had me in tears the first time that I watched this film. And I said, it's been like 5 minutes, people. What in the hell? Like, why am I... That's not supposed to be how it works. It's supposed to be I cry at the end so I can walk out without shame and dignity. Now I have to sit in a theater with, I know that's water coming down my face. I gotta get through the rest of this goddamn movie. But man, holy hell.
Yeah, I think Pixar was just like, you thought we can make you guys cry. Wait till you see this.
Yeah.
Like all the old photos and everything about their life, like hit your heart.
The moment where they just want to do their dream, and they have to keep smashing the jar over and over again to add to the house that they're building. Like, it's... Oh, it hits you in the feels, man. Like, it really does. And obviously, with her, 3, 2, 1, spoiler, she comes down with illness and she ends up dying. And this whole process now, where, like, the joy that he felt turns him into the stereotypical grumpy old man. That, like, we people love to, like, get off my damn property, like, kind of thing. It was a big emotional moment, and one that I will always remember to just cherish the years, because you never know what might not happen. So,
yeah,
some good advice, honestly.
Hey, I think I like to give some. It all depends. But
sometimes,
I know people don't always listen to you, but definitely listen to that.
Well, thanks for that encouragement, dear Oracle. As we now move on to our great debate.
You apparently are putting the dog to sleep, Austin.
I like to think I have a very monotone voice. And we are back.
Forager says he cherishes you, Austin.
I cherish you too, Forager. I cherish you more than a cat loves yarn. That's saying a lot. So.
That's a
Wow.
lot.
Yeah, that is a lot, bud.
That's a lot.
Quote unquote, he says he's the greatest guest that we've ever had. So,
It's the
can't
highlight of the bench.
highlight of the
That's
bench.
what
There
he
you
calls
go.
himself now.
So, great debate is a very simple one today, but it also can make us think in very different ways. What world of Pixar would you live in, and why? So, Forager, do me a favor while all of us are brainstorming, because I have not thought of this yet. We have to all think about this from the start. Please decide the draft order on who goes first.
This is gonna be a good one.
I think so. I mean, a lot of these, like, they say, like, these are based off of, certain areas, but the worlds themselves, they go in a very, very centralized meaning. So,
I have an idea for one. It might be a little bit of a cop out,
What do I
but I
do
can
first?
explain.
Vo, eat shit.
Ah.
So we know Vo goes first. What's the rest of the order?
It's Bo, Austin, Greg.
Okay. I love that I follow Vo up. I love that so much. Thanks, Forager. So, Vo, what Pixar world would you live in and why?
I'm in between two of them.
Well, you gotta
But
pick.
I'll go with. I'll say A Bug's Life.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right.
I feel it
So,
to be an interesting world, living as a bug. I don't know what kind of bug I'd want to be though.
see, that's my follow-up question because I'll let you explain why, but I'll explain why and then I'll give you my follow-up question for it.
Actually, you know what? I'll be a bee, because that way I can fly around.
Is a bee movie Pixar?
No, that's
Okay.
no, that's another studio.
Is that DreamWorks? That might be
But
DreamWorks.
here's what
No,
it's gonna
that's
be,
that's like a separate thing actually. I'm
Oh,
pretty
separate
sure.
than all those. Holy shit.
Yeah,
I
like
can't
Barry
remember.
Seinfeld got like a weird deal on that one.
Okay.
I can't remember if there were bees in A Bug's Life. I just watched it, but I can't remember.
I know that there are 3 specific types of bugs, or at least in the Bug's Life. You have your circus bugs,
Yeah.
who, you have those, you have the ants, and then you have the grasshoppers. So let's go between those 3. Would you be?
You can't tell. It's my world.
Oh yeah, no.
I wanted to be the bee. I wanted to be the new guy in town. Everyone looks
Okay.
up to me. And if someone gets on my nerves, say a person, I just sting them.
But then you die.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of bee.
No,
Not
you're a
that kind of
bee. You're a bee.
That's what happens with bees, man. If you want to be a wasp, that
You want to be a wasp or a hornet, you could be annoying as hell. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you sting someone,
that's
you die.
perfect for him then. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go with that. Let's be a hornet. Be a hornet.
Oh, man.
The new guy in town. Everyone's afraid of me.
And then when you try to make friends, people are annoyed by you.
Yeah, just like you guys.
Oh shit.
Perfect.
Okay. Well, hey, I don't know if that's all right. Okay, so I'm up. So A Bug's Life was taken. I think there's no better way to say mine than to say it would be incredible, and I would live in the world of the Incredibles. Basically because I would like to think that I would have a superpower, because if you don't, then you're just an average person, and we all know how not average I can
How
be.
average you are.
So, but yeah, I'd like to think that I would be in the Incredible universe. I think that all of the aspects, essentially, of hiding in wait for the heroes, and basically after what if Incredibles 2 of them like popping back up and realizing that they're better than what they were, and that they have a new role to fill. And I want to say, I'll even go a step further, and let's say my power would be almost take this from Vo, shocking to say the least.
Oh,
And
the shockwave is coming back.
no, I'm being Shockwave. I would just be probably be something like can't be.
You could be the
Thunder.
human phone charger.
Phone. Hey, your phone's charged. I'm just thinking of that scene from Shazam. Your phone's charged. Your phone's charged. And what the hell, man? But yeah, I would like to think I would be like a master of electricity in The Incredibles. So give me that.
Forger makes a good point. I was going to ask you this too. Would you be a hero or villain?
Oh, we both know how I
You're a
act.
villain.
I would definitely
Yeah,
be a
you're a
villain.
villain.
I would definitely be a villain. I would like to think that the villain is almost a little bit more fun to play than the hero.
Yeah.
And if it's in a musical term, I get my own song. That's the best on the track too, because we all know that the villain songs are always the best, and I got the pipes for it. So that's mine. I would say that. Greg, you're up. A Bug's Life and The Incredibles are taken. Where are you going with this, and why?
So mine's a little off the wall, actually, and I will explain why. I am picking a Pixar movie that has not been released yet.
Oh,
Oh.
do tell, Greg.
I am going with one Lightyear.
Okay, I kind of
Yeah.
thought. Okay.
I'm going Lightyear. Yeah, this is the world. For people who don't know, this was announced at D23 Expo. I want to say a few months back when they did all of the Marvel reveals as well. They announced a lot of the Pixar stuff as well. This is going to be Buzz Lightyear's so obviously in Toy Story, Buzz Lightyear is the toy, but this is going to tell the character of Buzz Lightyear, how he was started, and he's going to be voiced by Chris Evans, aka Captain America.
I love that.
See, I
So-
didn't hear about this one.
Yeah,
This
so,
has been in the works. I love this idea.
Yeah, so I would want to live in Lightyear because the idea of it is essentially like it's obviously going to be space related. I would assume you have a lot of different options that you could go with. You could probably be a part of
Probably,
probably-
Star Command. I believe
Star
that's what
Command.
it is.
Thank you.
Yep.
I could be a part of Star Command. I could be an alien on another world that is inhabited by it. I could be one of Zurg's henchmen if I want to, potentially, with that. I would probably be... I would want to be on Lightyear's initial trip into space
I
as
think that's
maybe
dope.
as maybe a lieutenant or something like that. I think that'd be pretty cool.
If you guys didn't know, there was an animated Buzz Lightyear movie that essentially told this story.
I think there was a TV show
There's a
too.
TV
Yeah,
series,
the movie started it, and then it branched off into a TV show. But yeah, the movie was awesome. It started when Buzz and his so-called partner were basically, going through trying to stop Zurg. And what ends up happening is that there is a planet that is stolen. That essentially the it's called the Unimine. That's what it's called, and it has all the Is there a term for the aliens, the three-eyed aliens, and do they have a name? I can't.
I don't know actually.
But they all have like a centralized like thought process, and they use this planet, like this little like planet, to harness all that energy. Well, Zurg steals it and corrupts it to the point where he can control everybody in the galaxy, and it is dope as hell. The entire Star Command gets taken over, where Buzz and three rookies he has to eventually like team up with. One is a princess, one is a janitor that wants to be a member of Star Command, and one is a robot that is built to essentially help Buzz. And this awkward foursome has to go through and fight off Zurg. And spoiler 3, 2, 1, his old partner happens to have survived and works under Zurg as this new henchman. And man, this movie, if you guys haven't seen it, because it started the series, it is dope. It is I can't remember what the guy is called off the top of my head, but he's in a majority of the episodes as a huge force that Buzz has to overcome. But Greg, I love that idea because I had heard of Lightyear, and that was on the top of my top 3 picks to choose from.
Yeah, I think it's coming out at the end of next year because I know Pixar just dropped the teaser for their next one, which is like the red panda bear
Yes.
one they're dropping. Yeah, that teaser was dropped today, and that's coming out in March of next year. But I believe Lightyear.
It says
Lightyear's
June 17th of 2022.
All right. I mean, I'm assuming that date's going to get pushed, but more than likely it'll be 2022. Yeah.
I love all that. I think we all got I think we all got the world that we wanted to live in, and I think that's cool. Bo's a bee. I'm a
Hornet.
superhero.
I'm a Hornet.
Hornet.
That's right. I'm sorry. Bo's a hornet. I'm a superhero that shoots lightning, and Greg is a member of Star Command. I kind of.
So here's the thing. Though, for your case, I feel like all you had to do was just be yourself in a Bug's Life world,
Stop.
and you
I'll
wouldn't.
take it.
Yeah, all you had to do is just be yourself. You wouldn't have to interact with any bugs because you just be you. Yeah.
Just fly
Well-
around and observe, make sure everyone's in line.
No, you wouldn't even fly around. You would just be you as a
No,
human and it'd be bug size. Yeah.
No, I'm flying around. I'm a Hornet.
Do you imagine that?
Alright.
I mean, that would be a good idea for a movie, to have a person shrunk down to the size of a bug and go through the bug world to see how that would work.
Hey,
Honey, I
no,
Shrunk the Kids.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
In a
no,
red-
there was an animated movie like that. It was like it was about an ant or something like that, about how like this kid was apparently like destroying anthills, and he was
Oh, why do I know this?
Oh,
Damn.
yeah, I can picture that.
He was
Yeah.
but he would take the magnifying glass and like burn ants
and burn them,
shit.
yeah, and burn them, yeah. So like he was given like a magical like potion or something and shrunken down to the size of an ant. Yeah.
I gotta look that up, because Greg, that sounds very familiar. And I will say the ideas are buzzing, the thing is buzzing. and we will be continued to be buzzing while you enjoy this commercial break, and we'll be right back with our top 10 ranking of the evening.
King of Segways, baby.
Ranking. Hi, I'm Josh. I like pizza. Do you like pizza?
When the moon heats your eyes like a big pizza pie.
We've let it coagulate. Show Greg. King of coagulation there.
Coagulation is key.
Homemade Greek ranch.
Do you like watching people eat pizza? Help me, because I'm on the quest to find the best pizza in Pittsburgh.
Hand-forged pizza. Bit of Vici. That's amore.
Make sure you're sending in your recommendations for the best pizza in Pittsburgh, because I'm gonna go, I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna hold it to my standards.
It's the aftertaste is the barf. It's where the barf comes
Oh, yeah.
I agree, it's my pizza. Can your favorite pizza place pass the test? Find out.
All right, everyone, we are back, and I couldn't think of a better way to end our show. We talked about Pixar, we talked about the villains, talked about the sidekicks in our IG ranking, and we talked about essentially, you know, the moments and, you know, what world we live in. But I think everyone really knows what they want to talk about, and it's the top 10 Pixar movies. Now, controversial as it might be, these are my top 10, and I firmly stand by this because it's the truth. So,
I mean, that's debatable, so we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, my top 10 would be this top 10. I'll say that now.
would it be your top 10?
It
That's kind
wouldn't,
of cool.
wouldn't, wouldn't.
Oh, okay, you nerd. All right. So, let's, as Greg transitions, we transition it into the...
Sorry, just gotta take care of something for the dog.
Oh, you're good. I think a lot of people love to see the dog in the background of the stairs. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we just have a dog on the show instead of Greg?
I mean, if you want, yeah. It's right
Well,
there.
Greg can talk and we'll just have the dog's picture there. Oh, look at that butt.
Good old puppy. Oh, it's
She's got
got
a
the
tennis ball.
the tennis ball and everything want to play.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. All right, let's get into this. The top 10 Pixar films. We start off at number 10 with Ka-chow! Cars.
Cars was like very... I think what kind of ruined me with Cars is that the sequels weren't that great. And that's what's unfortunate, because I thought Owen Wilson was great in it. I thought Larry the Cable Guy was great as Mater. But like aside from that, I mean, I don't know, just that didn't really hit well for me.
The premise of the story, I think, is where it resonated in my top 10, with it obviously being at the bottom, but it was a good story to tell of just the hotshot car that thinks he's all that, goes to a town and now is considered basically just one of the average Joe Schmoes. And, you know, his arrogance and his confidence, you know, costs him, you know, the race at the beginning. And now he's trying to find out that special thing of what makes him tick, that he can actually do well. And he ends up learning, I can't remember the guy who plays it, but the car essentially teaches him that, you know, the speed isn't always everything. It's more about technique. And that's where it comes into play for this film. And you're right, Owen Wilson was, I loved Larry the Cable Guy in this film. And Larry the Cable Guy was like big around this time too. Like, I mean, not saying he still isn't big, but he was very big around this. Well, gotta go get them dingers over there. Like, just hearing that in the voice of like a tow truck, like I was just like, that's so fucking Larry the Cable Guy. Like, it's unreal.
With the buck teeth too.
With the
Just adds
my name's Mater with a T. Like, it's just all of it's just great, dude. Like, I love just how well the characters meshed. And, you know, there wasn't like the antagonist was just like another hot shot trying to make his name, but I think the very premise of the film with this, the hot spot of this film was the final race in which Lightning McQueen's hero that they were also racing against, he ends up getting crashed by the antagonist. And instead of finishing the race in first place, McQueen helps him across the finish line and gets more applause than the Thunder guy. I believe it's something Thunder, Thunder and Lightning or something. Because Thunder comes before Lightning. Yeah, that's why he said it. But yeah, and he got furiously booed, like just to the point where he was almost out of racing. But yeah, Cars at 10. I thought it was good. I thought the life lesson was good, but you know, nothing really else other than that. So we move on to number 9, one that Greg said the imagery was very stimulating and engaging and just overall amazing. Number 9, Coco.
I think Coco would be higher if it came out earlier, obviously. I think it's not, I think a lot of people haven't seen it just because of the fact that, I mean, you know, like, I would say people our age, there's a general, like, window of Pixar movies that are, like, very well up there for us. So I think this will eventually get its just due, but for now, I mean, I think it's perfectly placed.
Yeah, I mean, like, the people that have seen it, a lot of them are, like, torn between liking it and then realizing, like, I hated watching this in Spanish class. Why do I have to watch it again? Like, you know, it's kind of like that thing where, like, you know, the teacher tried to be cool and play this. But, like, I mean, overall, the premise, like I said, the plot twist at the end was huge. And the imagery was spectacular. Like, more than we have seen in, like, you know, most Pixar films, with just the whole aspect of family, remembrance of the Day of the Dead. So taking an aspect like that and making it very more popular than it was fantastic for their part. Number 8. This was a lot higher for me at one point, and I had to back off of it just from personal bias. Number 8 is WALL-E.
Yeah, I never was a fan of WALL-E.
Me either.
I like the idea of it. I like the whole, like, you start off and there's just this barren earth wasteland that this robot is essentially just going about his daily routine, you know, trying to, because that's what he was programmed to do. He's a garbage bot. But a lot of the times you see that he is quite lonely, and to add emotions to a robot perspective in this was fantastic on my part, because, you know, robots aren't supposed to feel emotion. Otherwise, you know that it is the end of the world. iRobot Will Smith. Check that shit out too, because that was
I
the whole
hate you for
premise.
that, because that's exactly what I was thinking.
That's a great film, man. I love it. But sticking to this one, we even there's a probot that is sent named Eve that WALL-E develops an affection for, and what ends up happening is that they both get transported up to the main ship, which is essentially a lazy town for people that they really didn't have to do anything. They rode around and were fat and lazy. I mean, they literally did not walk. They just rode on these machines because everything was being done for them, rather than the perspective of what the human, you know, race was supposed to be. It's like moving forward, you know, getting up, doing it yourself.
I should have picked this world. Sounds like a great world to live in.
Knowing you, if you picked this, you would be one of the robots that the people rode on. So I don't know if you
That'd
would
be hilarious. Plot twist.
They're just like, damn it, my job is to carry around this, like, lazy piece of shit all day. Like, it's
Just
not
like my
gonna
job
be.
here.
Oh.
Wow.
Woo! All right,
You're
you clip
gonna
that
spice
shit.
it,
That's
damn.
that is a that I felt that one in here. You clip that shit. That's a great one to have. Yeah, I mean, WALL-E was great in aspect of that, the teaching that, you know, like, you have to stand on your own 2 feet, otherwise you're gonna lose yourself, and that's exactly what happens with the human race. We go to number 7. your world, though. Number 7, A Bug's Life.
Like I said, I just watched this the other night with Morgan, and the animation is from what, 1998?
Yeah,
Yeah,
around that.
It still holds up. Like it
Holds
great.
up, dude.
This was the second Pixar movie ever after Toy Story, actually.
I think so, yeah. And to have that where, like, because I think this was a trailer, I think, for the original Toy Story film, because they normally play their trailers, I think, in a year in advance to get the anticipation going. So
Right.
when you saw a trailer or like a short of, you know, the next film, this was the next big thing. And the cool part, I want to say, I'm not 100% accurate on this, but they always have like a little intro before an actual Pixar film, and it's
those are the
I want to say it was the guy playing chess with himself. I want to say that. I don't know if that's accurate, but that short alone, he just like, he develops like another personality when he's like playing chess against himself. He's like, wow, what the, why are you doing this? And he's like, and he's just like, you know, you gotta think this old dude just doing this alone in a park. Like, yeah, there's probably some issues going on there, but sticking with the original script of A Bug's Life, it's just a bug that wants to stand out from the rest. Like, everyone's carrying around the food, feeding the grasshoppers, everything's going well, nothing gets misplaced, and this guy just wants to invent shit and do his own thing, right? And it ends up costing them a whole year's worth of food, which can you imagine just every day for a year you're just getting food for somebody? That's your job? Like, screw that, man. Like,
Austin, did you ever play the video game?
I never played the Bugs Life video game.
I had it for PS1, and there was like one level I could never beat. It was like near the end of the game, I just couldn't beat it. Couldn't figure it out.
You remember what it was?
You had to use that little contraption that you fly on.
Oh, the bird.
Yeah, and like fly through the valley and everything, and like you just didn't know where to go.
Sounds like Bo didn't pay attention to the directions, but...
Oh, I did. Just walking in circles, and I was like, oh, I think I beat it. I'll just tell Austin that I beat it.
But you didn't. But, but yeah, the whole premise is that it's be your own person, right? Like, we don't have to be, like, the underbelly of society. Like, we can be our own, and we can stand on 2 feet, and that very well goes with Hopper's speech at, I could say, a bug bar? I think that's what it was, because they were just drinking dirty bubbles.
Yeah, it's like a little
was their
cantina.
alcohols. So, I thought that cool scene where, you know, like he was like, you know, throwing the nuts at people. Was like, oh, did that hurt? No. Did that hurt? No, of course not. Well, how about this? And he just like knocks all of them, and he just murders that grasshopper in front of everybody. Like, that was the whole aspect of it, is that, like, you can be your own person and stand up without, you know, having to show for it.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Oranger says we can all be kings.
Let's not go too far. There's only one king here. And the king validates to move on to number 6. The aspects that we talked about inside us. Number 6, Inside Out.
I'm intrigued to see what your top 5 is, because I would have thought for sure this would have been there.
Dude, it was. For one point, I think either last night when I was tweaking with it, that it was number 5, but I think that I had to pull back because a lot of, even with the amount of creativity and everything that went with this film, it's essentially like what goes on inside your own head, you know, and it's been technically done before, but not in the aspects of like this visualization that's been brought to you. And I think a lot of what it had to do, a main reason why I love this film so much is Bing Bong. The elephant of imagination.
Oh yeah.
Which, I mean, that scene alone where like he's, you know, forgotten, spoiler alert, but it was a very hard scene to watch, because that's essentially what we all do as grown-ups. You know, we drop that sense of imagination. We don't like to, but we do. And I mean, this was kind of the movie that made me realize it was more of a human sense of Pixar. I didn't feel comfortable putting it in my top 5 because I think there's better ones, but definitely the aspect of humanity, especially when Riley talks to the boy, and the boy's mind is going, oh, go, what's going on here? We all felt that shit. In some sense of the matter, we all felt that.
Yeah, but I agree with you that it's been done before, because like my initial reaction when I first heard about Inside Out was like, okay, this is Disney's version of Osmosis Jones.
Thank you. That's kind of what I was Which
Yeah, this is kind of like the way I was looking at it, but honestly, I think I think it goes above and beyond that, to be real. I think in terms of the new Pixar movies, this is probably the best.
Yeah.
I will say, I even remember that when Osmosis Jones, the movie, and then the TV show that came after, and the intro.
Ozzy and Drix, yeah. I do too.
Ozzy and Drix, yeah, Ozzy and Drix. Fuck yeah, dude. Like I'm telling you, next thoughts from the bench costume thing. I want one of us to go as Ozzy and Drix. That's happening. So, time for another day though. As we move on and move up with our number 5, Up.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, Up has so many scenes in it that they just hit you right in the feels, especially obviously the scene from the very beginning, but throughout the whole movie too, it's just, it feels like a gut punch after a gut punch with this one.
It almost felt like they were like beating us down. Like you think you're gonna cry now? Well, here's another scene. Here's another scene. You feeling sorry for yourself? Channeling.
They want to bring you up.
You're
Drag you
learning,
down
bro.
and bring you up.
There you go.
Foreigners are
But
shocked this is number 5.
I know. I mean, this
would probably be higher on my list.
so how higher? 3?
Probably 3.
Okay, so I'm in the right ballpark at least with you then. But I mean, yes, the story was amazing, and you had Doug the dog and Kevin the bird. Like all the great. Which I didn't know if I ever showed you guys the picture, but Bree and I actually, for our one Halloween party, we went as Doug and Kevin from Up. Where I was
Oh my god.
bird. I'll have to send that to you guys at some point because it was really funny to do. But yeah, the whole aspect, I mean, there's one life lesson after another, but I think there are better ones, man. And it might be just the bias of what I grew up with, but we'll see as we go down the line, because our number 4, we're going to get into Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, this has to be up there. I don't know if it has like the same emotional life lesson impact that I feel like all the other ones do, but just in terms of just flat out fun, Monsters Inc. has to be up there.
I think that's where it goes to. It's like people can suck up emotion like as much as they can, like a sponge, but people go for like the exciting. They go for the diverse. They go for what they want to see in terms of creativity. And holy shit, Monsters Inc. knocked this all out of the park, taking the aspect of a business and putting it as scaring children being the power source, and they think that they're doing nothing wrong. And I love that, the children couldn't touch them, which I thought was hilarious, because we get that crazy scene where that monster comes out and he's got a sock on his back.
Oh, quarantine, dude.
2319. They bring in like the whole like containment like crew and everything, shave him and freaking like put him through the ringer. Like, it's amazing just as to where, and this movie, not only that, but it brought so many memes. It's unreal. Like
Especially
I almost
COVID last year.
Yeah. I almost put the meme of Mike Wazowski on here instead of the actual picture, where it's like just the weird human face of on Mike.
Mike Wazowski's also an underrated Pixar character too.
Yes, and I know a lot of people shit on him in the comments or whatever for him being a sidekick, but
that was mainly just
he's very much a sidekick. That's just, he's there to take notes, do his thing, and be the comic relief. He's not really a main driving point. Sully's the main driving point of the film. But even I love the slug, which I can impression. I know nobody donated bits or anything, but I might as well get out of the way. Always watching, Wazowski. Always watching.
That's very good.
That's awesome. That was very good.
I think that's one of my better ones. But I
it's also kind of creepy too that it's a woman, so you technically just did a woman's voice too.
Hey,
the King's talented.
King's talented and many diverse. Just as I will say is our number 3, because for once we find out what's under the sea. Finding Nemo.
I'm very surprised you didn't have any Finding Nemo moments.
I know.
I almost picked this for the great debate. This is the other one.
This would have been an interesting one for you, Vo. To be, I would. What kind of fish is Vo, Greg? Is he
He's
the
a clownfish.
He's a clown.
I'm Nemo.
Basically, yeah.
Got a little fin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Finding Nemo, I remember watching this in theaters when I was a kid. Like, it is by far one of the best Pixar films around, just because you deal with the tragedy of loss for the clownfish with the eggs and the barracuda, to dealing with just the journey. I think this this is one of the times where like Pixar pulled out quote unquote like the Lord of the Rings with the quest kind of scenario, and this is very much it, is you have to find your son. Through all this, you got to go P. Sherman forward to Wallaby, P. Sherman forward to Wallaby Way, Sydney. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But
It's crazy we all remember that stuff.
but that's what it is. Like that was
Or
set.
what's her name? Darla?
Darla, yeah, she's
She's like tapping on the glass.
like
Has the bag like, wake up!
oh god, yeah, like that scene terrified me when I was a kid.
It makes you almost
He's just
never,
shaking
ever,
this
ever
fish
want to
to
do that again.
It's like every carnival fish in the world knows how those fish are right now. Like it is, you get it in the raffle and it dies an hour later on the car ride home because you can't stop shaking the bag.
Try to cross the interstate to get to the ocean.
For
There's a
But I
lot
think-
going on in that movie.
a big portion of this I loved. I did so many. This is actually, I will credit this as why I started getting into a lot of impressions, because I loved doing Bruce the shark so much from this film. It's like, oh, name's Bruce. Like, it's just so funny to see that these sharks are almost in like an AA, like an Alcoholics Anonymous with like.
Oh, that was great. When they're
Like-
taking the oath too to
Yeah.
not eat their friend. I love it.
Fish are friends, not food. And then the first instance of blood, like it's just like it's a shark's instincts, gotta eat. To the whole jellyfish fields of like Dory almost dying, to the underbelly of the sea with the anglerfish, and to even going with the probably one of the most dumb but hilarious scenes in the whole film. My, the whole freaking pit, like God.
Or seagulls.
Seagulls, yeah, thank you. Just nothing stopped that film. It was all on its own,
And
trying
the
to do
Pelicans like, oh, like just climb in my mouth, you'll be safe. And they're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, yeah, I'll just trust you with this body of water. Like,
What's his name? Nigel? I want to say his name was Nigel.
Nigel, yeah.
I think it was Nigel, yeah.
He's like, yeah, he's like, oh, will you shut up? Let's move on to our number 2. It's the world that I picked, and I couldn't think of probably a runner-up for the
Oh, he did it again.
The Incredibles at number 2.
Yeah, it's honestly has to be up there for it. The fact that Pixar finally did something superhero related is badass. And also, Samuel L. Jackson plays a great role in it. He's great in that.
Honey, where's my super suit? What? Where's my super suit? It's like, it's for the greater good. Greater good? I am your wife. I am the greatest good you are ever gonna get. But yes, you had, I mean, just the whole aspect of this, of like snuffing out the past, so to speak, I think is the whole plot of this film, to better yourself. Because Mr. Incredible finally realizes, when he's not in the best in shape, and that he has a family, like there's more to life than just fighting crime. There's the family that comes with it and what brings along. And you had the awkward moments of, oh, what's the girl's name? I'm gonna hate myself.
The assistant? I can't remember.
No, his daughter. I can't picture it.
Violet.
Violet, thank you. Just like you see the awkward teenage angst that she has of like, I couldn't think of a better power to give her than invisibility. That's awesome. That was a big brain idea from Pixar to put that as her power. And Dash being the class clown, putting the tack on the teacher's seat. And he's like, he's here and he's here. Coincidence? I think not.
You know what also was brilliant by Pixar too? The idea that superheroes are at fault for all the injuries that citizens do while they're trying to save them too.
Yes.
That's brilliant when you think
because
about
it happens in all the comic book movies and everything, especially
Right.
the recent ones, Greg. I've recently been watching on HBO Max The Dark Knight, the 2 parts of The Dark Knight Returns. And that is amazing because that's a big premise of, when Batman comes back at age 50, they're blaming him for all these things that are happening when he's the one that's saving their asses. So it's like you can have it one way or the other, but don't dredge in the middle of it. But yeah, Incredibles at 2. I love this film so much, but not as much, obviously, as our number 1. If you thought this was anything else, I don't know what to even say. But number 1, Toy Story.
Now, is it all 4 movies you're including in this?
Just
or
the
is
first one.
Just the first one. Okay. See, that's tough because you could make an argument for any of the others.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot, but I think without obviously the other 3, like, you couldn't have that without the first one. And being that it was such a good film to grow up with, knowing that we were kids when that was happening, watching what happens when people misuse their toys or like not anything like that. I think 1995 growing up with that was the perfect time frame. And maybe that's why it sticks to me so much. But you obviously have, the idea of like Woody being the sheriff on the block and not wanting to, give that up to a toy that's more advanced, has more tech along with it, with Buzz. And with Buzz believing that he's an actual like Star Command pilot is by far one of the most hilarious things in the world, because I love their fight and their dialogue at Pizza Planet where it's like, "You are a toy!"
Every time he punches him, his helmet flies up. Just punches his head and closes.
He's like punching him, but it's like a squeak. It's like "Week, week, week."
Then
But
his little laser, like he just points at it, doesn't do anything.
be careful with that. But yeah, I mean, you obviously have like the other like toys that come into play. You have Slinky, you have Rex, you have the pig. I love the pig.
Speaking of Slinky,
yeah, okay, let's. He's the sidekick.
I don't think he's a sidekick.
No,
He is by far the number 1 toy that Woody goes to all the fucking time.
Right,
he's like, Slink.
Put it like that, yeah. Okay.
He's like, Slink, round him up. Slink, do this. Slink, because he's man's best friend with that.
Yeah.
That's tough though, because I put Slink, Mr. Potato Head, Rex, and Ham like all into like one collective though.
I don't know. I see there's a tier with the toys that I will hopefully try to put at some point, but it's always like Buzz, like Woody, and then I can maybe make an argument for like Belle. I don't know if that's her name or not, but like
Peep.
the Bo Peep. Yeah, thank you. Maybe make an argument for her, but then it goes Slink, and then it goes Rex, Ham, like Mr. Potato Head, because Slink is essentially like the one in charge when Woody's not there, in my mind. Like he's the one that rounds everybody up, gets them together. I can't tell you how many memes I've seen with the sketchboard where like he's like, and we now go to him, and there was one that just wrote an obscenity, and I was like, all right, this is not what I want to see right now.
You should do a top 10 Toy Story characters.
I should. That might be.
That'd be good.
That might be a thing. Who knows? But yeah, I couldn't make an argument. Though I'm curious, what the hell would you? Because I know this wouldn't be your top 10. What the hell would you put in place? Because I think this is like virtually like the best top 10.
Incredibles wouldn't be so high on my list.
Be
No, it'd be on top 10. But since I haven't seen, I can't put it as like number 1.
Well, you haven't finished it, which again
Yeah,
is worse than actually not seeing it. But
did we say was Wreck-It Ralph Pixar?
Yeah, I was gonna say
it was Pixar. It was Pixar, but I had watched.
That would be on my top 10. It wouldn't be.
It has to be on my top 10. Yeah, I would agree with him because I remember seeing Wreck-It Ralph like in college actually. So
Okay.
Yeah, we saw it at the Union. Isn't that when we saw it?
Well, that's right. Yeah, we did. Yeah, that movie was excellent. I love that stuff so much.
So I'm assuming that you would probably replace it with Coco, or replace Coco with it then,
Probably,
if you were.
Probably Wally.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
You're
not gonna put Wally? I know a lot of people are gonna.
My sister's friend thinks Wally's better than Toy Story.
Oh well, that's interesting.
What?
Yeah.
Your
That's
sister
a hot-
needs new friends.
That's a hot take, but
I'm clipping that and showing her.
I will say that another big one that people probably are like bashing their eyes at is Ratatouille, and I know that's like To me, like,
Did you have that on there? I swear. I
it
saw
was
that.
originally on there. I had it at number 10 originally, but it's number 11 to me, and it's nothing against the film, but I had more close personal relationships with these other films to Ratatouille, where it's like
Patton Oswalt is great in that movie.
What about Soul? Did you see Soul?
I didn't see. I wanted to put it on there, but I didn't see it, so I had to abstain from it. My brother said it was a very good
It was
film,
very
so
good, yeah.
which there was a meme or whatever that it was like soul, but instead of like a soul, it was like his face was like the sole of a shoe.
Wow.
So
Foreign
That's
just said
funny.
a little sad that Up was at 5, but I would still give you a perfect ranking.
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, so Up
I mean,
would
I'm
be
trying-
higher on mine for sure.
I'm trying to think of any other ones that like I don't think like I mean Wreck-It Ralph was one, Ratatouille was one, but like
Brave.
was one. Like
Yeah,
I
let's talk
enjoyed
about
the
Brave.
villain of that more than the actual film. But yes, Brave would probably be in the top 15 if I were to list one. And then obviously you had to put all the sequels like the Toy Story 2, 3, 4, like Incredibles 2. Like I kind of went with more of like the original base of all these to kind of stem those off of.
Yeah, because we'd be getting granular if that's the case.
What is Bernie? Bernie. Like
Why does
Wall-E.
it-
Bernie.
Short presentation paper. It's a spin-off
short.
from Wall-E.
Oh, it's a short. That doesn't count.
But
Is
Yeah.
wait, is that might be DreamWorks.
Which one?
Boss Baby.
That's
no,
DreamWorks.
is that DreamWorks? I think that might be Pixar.
No, that's DreamWorks.
No, it's DreamWorks.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
But-
another good idea for ranking.
Like the top 10 DreamWorks film. I don't know how many of those actually are. I mean, there's quite
There's
a
a
bit.
lot of DreamWorks, man.
Is Shark Tale DreamWorks?
I believe so.
I believe so, yeah.
One where Will Smith's the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta go back and base these. But yes,
Bunch of them.
there's a lot. So yes, those are my top 10 Pixar films. Obviously, with the audience, let me know how I did with them. But I think this was by far one of my most perfect rankings, if I had to say the least. So as Vo
That's
gets
a
up out of
bold
his
take
seat,
on your part, bud.
if Vo had to get out of his seat because he misplaced the goddamn gavel. So.
I did not have it with me, so.
God damn it. But yes, we are here every Tuesday at 6:30 on Twitch. Catch us on. We'll most likely have a guest next week. The topic is up in the air, but I'm between two, so I'll keep it in the mystery for now. And we have all our great shows that we always come to do. Two Beers Deep, obviously being the flagship of it on Thursdays at 7. Check that out, along with our great things, pizza reviews by Josh and the brew reviews that drop on Saturdays, Greg.
Very good.
Thank you. And obviously the can't forget the guys at the Vault. You know, they keep up with that content on the daily, so check them out. On Fridays, their stuff drops on YouTube and Facebook. Other than that, boys, I
Buy
think
the
it was
shirts.
buy.
Buy
Look how
our
good he is in
Damn.
that shirt.
Look how freaking nice these shirts are. I know you can't tell because it's drenched with sweat, but
You've been getting
that
comments
shouldn't
all day
persuade.
about that shirt, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people buy them, but we need more people to buy them.
Damn right you
Keep
have.
buying them. They're only available this month.
You people are the people of the court, and they are only available until the end of July. So buy. I feel like I'm on Wall Street. Buy, sell, buy, sell. But
No, don't sell. Buy.
don't sell them,
Just
buy
keep
them.
buying them. Keep buying them.
But yes, thank you to everybody who viewed. We'll be back next week with a topic and a guest. And overall, thank you again. Court is adjourned.
Court is adjourned.